What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dolphins versus the World. And as always, today I'm joined by our producer, Joel, and my co-host, Anthony, is with me. I'm Chase. Anthony, I'd ask how you're feeling, but I think I already know the answer.
Yeah, man. Disappointed, not surprised. We talked about it a little bit before we came on. If anyone listened to last episode, and I kind of talked about it with you beforehand, how I'm not claiming to be smarter than I don't think I'm I know I get a lot wrong. But based off how I thought it would go and kind of how I laid out what this team has become of late, I wasn't really surprised, but I'm disappointed because you and I are both people, and Joel's the same way, where there's not a lot of people there are people like this, but a lot of people are toxic. But we would all rather be wrong if it meant the Dolphins succeed than be right and the Dolphins fail. And unfortunately, what I had thought would happen in the game and what I thought the Dolphins would do, unfortunately happened. And I'm disappointed, but again, I'm not surprised by it, but I don't say disappointed and not surprised, in a cocky, smirky, troll, toxic way. I say it it's kind of what I thought would happen. And I'm upset that it was true, because I was really hoping that it would be fixed, but, not really mad. I'm not going to again, you're not going to get me sitting here yelling or I'm just disappointed. As simple as that. So we'll get into it and what happened. But yeah.
Yeah. And just to start off, we have no sort of idea where this is going to go today. I think it'll probably be majority talking about the Bills and then the big picture of the Dolphins. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about the Chiefs game too. But
Right.
Yeah, overall, just for me, I'm just frustrated. It just feels like it's a never ending cycle. When you really take a step back and look at the big picture, are we that much closer to a Super Bowl than when we had Ryan Tannehill? Yeah, we have a better roster, we have a better coaching staff, and all this, but it just seems like the same problems are the same problems. This, I somehow found myself watching WFAN, the Jets New York radio, and I think his name's Joe Bonino. I'll be honest, I'm not sure, but he said it's with the Jets, you can change the colors, you can change the players, you can change the coach, you can change the owner, you could change the stadium, you could change the name, you can change the location. They're still the goddamn Jets. And that's just how I feel today with the Dolphins. You could change everything about this team. They somehow, some way, we're in the same spot as we have been every year, outside of the years where we really suck and are, full rebuild. But when we're in mode where we're pushing for the playoffs or something, it just always fucking ends in, excuse my language there, but always ends in disappointment. And it's just brutal, man. My whole life and most of my immediate family cousins, we're still chasing the elusive playoff win, the elusive, not being disappointed at the end of the year. And just one more thing, and I'll kick it back to you. I remember looking on Twitter. I don't know, don't quote me, but I think it was Ghost of Adam Gase was this team's different. I'm so proud watching them. And that's how we all felt through the first few games of the year. We felt this was a team we could finally be proud of. And I saw someone else say, I just want to do that once. Just say, sit here in January, sit here late December and be I'm proud of this team. This team has answered every question we had. They've stepped up to the plate, and they never do. Whenever the going gets tough, it does not seem to matter who's there. I don't think this is like you could point it specifically on one person, even though a lot of people will, just because I think that's easier. This is everyone. This is everyone. Yeah. Organizationally, there's so many problems here. Like, and we'll get into all of them, but yeah, that's my quick rant, which I'm sure will be one of many from both of us here.
Yeah, sorry, I had to turn my fan on. I I need to be in like this. I'm getting hot as hell because I have this big. It's called a comfy. I got it as a gift for what do you call it? Christmas from my mother-in-law, and I love it. Like it's just easy to put on, and I kind of need it today. Need that just comfort, but I'm getting hot as hell. I need to turn my fan on. Yeah, man, I don't want to dismiss the injuries that this team has had. But kind of like that kind of fits right into just like the fact that it always seems to be something. The injuries have certainly hurt us. I saw a list where it was like, I mean, if we went through the injuries, there's some people that got there. We've dealt with so many injuries that there's certain ones I forgot about. Like I forgot Isaiah Wynn was on this team and Savon Ahmed. I forgot Savon Ahmed was a player for the Dolphins. Because we've just dealt with so many to where it's like, even this game, like Andrew Van Ginkel and Cameron Good, it's like, I don't really know how it's even possible, to be honest with you.
I think there's something to it. Like it's, to me, at this point in year 3 of McDaniel, like I think it's apparent there's something, and you kind of opened my mind to it, the way the Shanahan tree practices, like there's something there. This isn't a coincidence anymore where the 49ers come this time of year, they're derailed by injuries. And now the Dolphins like derailed by injuries. The Rams were one of the only teams like somehow, some way that COVID year where they won the Super Bowl, everyone stayed healthy that needed to stay healthy. Yeah. And then look at them the next year. They were like horrid because everyone was, on IR because they played through so much. I think there's
yeah, and that's just like a conspiracy theory that I had. Cause again, I've never seen practices, but like everyone that comes from the Shanahan tree, they deal with a lot of injuries. And I've heard that Dolphins only practice in 11-on-11. And that's going to wear on teams because you're just going nonstop. And also, I've seen people talk about the conditioning coach, but like the Dolphins haven't really ever dealt with injuries as bad as they have the last 2 years. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but like we've had like injuries where it's like, man, I can't believe we lost him, but like nothing that like crazy. So like, and also like our strength and conditioning coach got like an A grade by the players. So I don't really think it's that. I think it's just a practicing. But like, I don't want to dismiss that, but like overall, I think given the injuries and the lack of coaching or the lack of showing up when you need to by the coaches and players, like this has probably been one of the more disappointing seasons. I'm trying to think if it's the most, but I've been a fan for 17 years. I don't want to say it's the most because obviously like we went 1-15. So like that's got to be more, that's got to be higher on there, I would think. But like, I don't know, man, considering what we thought this team could be even like a month ago, and what's happened, like I don't know if it gets more disappointing. And as we talk about the offense, because really I need to talk about McDaniel a lot. I need to talk about Tua. We can talk about the defense, but quite honestly, like
real quick before we kind of do offense, defense, I just want to say, like, for me, it's absolutely point blank, bottom line, unacceptable to have, I think it was 4-game lead on the division.
It was like I want to say it was either 3 or 3.5.
Either way, whatever it was,
it was more than 2
with 5 left. I don't care who you are, you cannot blow that lead. That's just injuries, your quarterback, whatever. I don't care. You have to find a way to get it done. This is a tough business. You got goals to meet, and when you have a chance like that, you got to get it done. I don't care how you do it. If you got to win every game 2-0, you have to find a way.
Right.
And then to do it as well at home.
That's what I said. Yeah.
The final game against the team you've been chasing, your rival, you get a chance to step up and and jump them and show like, hey, this is going to be a competitive division for years to come. And that's not even saying that the Patriots or Jets could jump in. Like you say, we're going to duel it out for years to come. And you couldn't do it. I mean, Buffalo could have, like we said before, they could have easily won that game by 20, 30 points in many scenarios.
Well, yeah, the score at minimum should have been 34-14. And we'll talk about that. But yeah, I just like that's what I was worried about last episode. And I had said, like, you can't lose the division at home to a division rival that you had a 3-game lead on, and you did. But like people are gonna say, like, with the injuries, and I understand that, but like also I look back to a game like the Titans game, and I'm like, that wasn't because of injury. I understand we had some bangs and bruises there, but like that was just because like
mismanagement.
Point blank simple, you got mismanagement on both sides of the ball. And even despite the injuries, that was the best performance that we've had against Josh Allen in 6 years, and our defense was like half out. And Vic Fangio had some very questionable calls. I thought I literally
at the end of the second half or the first.
I literally was like, am I watching the right game? Is this I was like, and then they showed 2, and I was literally making the exact same face. I was like, is this a Chargers game? I was so confused. But like I'm one of those people where like I am going to be lenient a little more with the defense because like they are dealing with so many injuries. And for people to get mad at the defense for holding Josh Allen to 14 points when you were dealing with that many injuries, just because there was like 2 bad calls, which one was putting Eli Apple on Stephon Diggs when he ran the deep route, but it's also like you can't. Eli Apple's a professional athlete, dude. Like you got to at least do one play on him. And then, what was the other one? That goal line play. But like 98% of the game, like it was a good, like again, no Jalen Phillips, no Bradley Chubb, no Xavier Howard, Jerome Baker's Javon Holland has been bad since he came back. Like with all of that, it's like to hold Josh Allen to 14 points. I see people like blaming the defense, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe again, you could tell me maybe if I'm off on that. They weren't perfect, but like you should have been able to beat the Bills. Like if you only gave up 14 points. I know there was the punt return touchdown, and we could talk about that. But yeah, just overall, really disappointed. And as we get into really starting with the offense is really the main thing I want to talk about, not as much the defense, because I really legitimately think without injuries, let me just say this. I don't believe the injuries for the offense are as much of an excuse as they actually are for the defense. I think legitimately Xavier's out there and both our edge rushers, I can say, okay, the issues I have with the offense have nothing to do with the offensive line injuries. They have zero to do with it. And I'm so sick and tired. Like, I understand it might look different, but to blame the game management issues on the fact that you don't have your offensive line out there is I don't understand it, because we've dealt with the issues for 2 years now, even without the injuries. So that's to me where I think we should spend most of the podcast is on the offense, because there isn't really that much of an excuse for most of what's going on with them as much as the defense.
Yeah, totally. And so I do want to talk mainly about the offense, but just for the defense, real quick for me, like they did more than enough to win that game. I totally agree with you there. Like they did hold them to 14 points, but at the same time, like they were moving the ball. Like I don't know what their total yardage was exactly, Buffalo. But I mean, they ran out of clock basically at the first half. If they had a timeout or 3 more seconds, they could have spiked it and at minimum kicked a field goal or had a play to the end zone. And then, an interception in the end zone. And then, but the defense, like when they needed a big play, they did it. To get the ball back in the fourth quarter there with less than 2 minutes left. Like, what more can you ask for your defense? They gave you a chance to win the game. Like the defense did its job in my mind.
I don't know. Again, I don't know what more people wanted from them. I'm like, yeah, Josh Allen made stupid mistakes, but it's like because the defense caused them. Like it was good play calls. And like the sack, the fumble, that was a good play. You literally, the game would have been over if it weren't for the defense. The game would have been over shorter. If it weren't for the defense, the offense wouldn't have even had a chance to fumble the bag.
And
but
I don't know if you could see this on the broadcast, but like David Long was like clearly really hurt and stayed in the game. Like he like couldn't move his like left arm or something. I don't know if that was picked up on the broadcast. And then
Jerome Baker also had something happen.
Yeah, he kept like, healing over in pain. Like these guys are, and that's just the nature of the NFL. Like
right,
everyone's going to be hurt. Like it's a violent sport. And you just have to find a way to win. Like
right now, that's when people, when they say excuses, I can understand if that's like something where it's like, that's not an excuse, because every team, like they should be playing, because like that's unfortunately, like that's your job that you signed up for. You're tougher than me for sure. But like those are excuses where I'm like, okay, that's not an excuse. But like losing your 2 edge rushers and Xavier Howard's like, no, that's like a legitimate, like that's like a legitimate excuse of like, yeah, those are your 3 best players other than Ramsey on defense, that all gone. So
but I saw like we were saying, like I think the defense did more than enough even without those guys.
Way more than enough.
And then I think we should just talk about special teams, because I know we'll both be able to go on about offense for a while. I don't know how Danny Crossman, that's his name, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know how. He should have been fired before this season. And I'd be shocked if he
should have been fired. He should have been fired before Mike McDaniel even got here. I don't. But I put that on Mike McDaniel. He's not being forced to keep him. He was forced to keep Boyer, not forced, but he was encouraged to keep Boyer. And I understand that you don't want to have all this new stuff in your first year. But no, Danny Crossman was garbage last year. There was no purpose of keeping him, and you did. And everyone under the sun, you, me, every person I listened to, said, why is Danny Crossman still employed? And again, I don't know, like there's not much better you could have done on that punt. Jake Bailey, that was like one of the best punts I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He got it at the 5-yard line, and Justin Bethel's right there. Worst effort I've ever seen. And you just gave up a punt return. So like,
literally at the stadium, all the people around were like, what a punt. Like, oh my God, like all the Dolphins.
Yeah, I saw it come off his foot and I was like, oh my God. And the camera was like, vroom, it was going so fast. But but again, I put that on Coach McDaniel. I put that 100% on him. He had you can get rid of him. You're a big boy. You're allowed to.
That to me, it's like, I'm not sure what it is or whatever, but a lot of these problems, like now, like we've had enough time. It's been 2 years. Like it's on you, McDaniel. Like if something is happening that is clearly a problem, like you have to step up. You have the final say. You have to charge and do it.
Just like you did with Fangio. It's like, okay, yeah, like I agree with you. You want your guy, go get your guy. But and to me, Boyer had more of a. To me, Boyer made more sense. If you're going to keep one of them, Boyer made more sense than Crossman was awful last year. And so you got rid of Boyer, which you should have. But yeah, it never made sense to me. And again, this game reminds me a lot of the Kansas City game, where it's like the game somehow was tied. Other than that, like with the Tyreek fumble and the special teams play, somehow, even though they got outplayed in both games, somehow it was a tie game.
And good teams win those games. The good teams win the games they don't deserve to win.
Correct. But so special teams out of the way. Defense, again, people can be mad at it. You're not going to get that from me. So listen to either someone else or a different podcast, because you're going to get, they weren't perfect. There's players that need to be better, but overall, not sure what you expect from them considering the injuries. Again, question certain play calls. Like I don't know what the hell that was in the goal line, but it's like, okay. And then Melvin Ingram on Dalton Kincaid, wasn't sure what that was about. But again, if I'm bad, if I took a test and I got 2 questions wrong.
When I saw Melvin Ingram off the couch.
Right, like two plays.
What?
Right, like 2 plays out of 60 was like a what? But like the other 58 was like literally the only reason you were even kind of in the game, because if it weren't for whether you want to put it on the defense making plays, which I think it's that, and Josh Allen messing up, the game should have been at minimum 34-14, because first interception, he had a wide open touchdown. He just missed it. Second interception, just a stupid play, but they were in field goal range. They're going to get a field goal. And then the third one, they were literally at like the 25, and then Christian Wilkins sacked them. So that right there, if it weren't for the defense and Josh Allen making stupid plays, that's 13 points at minimum they're going to get. It's a 34-14 ball game. I picked them to win 31-21. So I was giving the Dolphins even more credit. But yeah, like I see a lot of people. Certainly, again, I understand the frustration, but let's not do this thing where we put blame. Maybe it's because it's, God forbid, you say something negative about the offense. It's like because they scored 70 points against the Broncos. It's like if you say something bad about them, it's like you don't know football. It's like I don't know, man. It's my eye test. My eye test is telling me the offense is the issue right now. Considering the injuries and everything.
The issue to me when you 14 points that's horrible. Like that's like the Jets and like the Giants, the Carolina Panthers. Like that's like not as bad as them, obviously, but like that's unacceptable. Like I think the bar is so low right now for NFL offenses because just the general standard of QB play in the NFL is so incredibly terrible. Like the Dolphins getting 14 should not be the bar. You have to get more points than that. Like you're not going to be able to win football games unless you have the 82 Bears defense, only scoring 14 points. And then the only other thing, and I'll kick it back over to you, like just another thing that really frustrated me about this offense, that's kind of like small scale, was on the immediate response drive after the punt. We did run, pass, punt. I just was like, I'm watching the Adam Gase Dolphins here. Like yeah. I felt like we were back to where it was like, what is wrong with this like predictable offense? And I don't, over the course of the year, maybe last year too, and I didn't notice it. Like this offense is just so predictable, and it's easy to stop. Like there's not like it's creative in the first few times you see it, but clearly it's very, very simple. Like the ideas, the concepts are the same as they have been all year. And, right. Maybe that's part of the reason. Like, I feel like Tua's like his struggles down the stretch here, both years are like just him so reliant. And I don't want to use the word like lazy because that's not what it is. Like when the first guy's open, the first guy's open. But when the offense is as simple as that, and then teams can take that away, like it feels like there's no backup plan.
Right.
And we're just lost.
Yeah. Let me just talk about the offense real quick, because for people who didn't watch last episode, let me like kind of clarify what I had said last episode, why I wasn't surprised, and let me reiterate it again. So, number one, the offense was creative. Past tense. After week 4, there's been nothing new about this offense, nothing worth writing home about. I will not take away credit that was given to them. You scored 70 points. You inspired a lot of other offenses who used it, which, again, I'm not trying to take that away. But if your bag of tricks is empty after week 4, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem, okay? Here's the problem. Number one, I'm trying so hard to keep it together, to keep my composure. Mike McDaniel, for some reason, I don't know what it is, just doesn't like to stick with the run game. And my thought is that it has to do with the fact that he has Tua, and obviously everything Tua's gone through. And yeah, your camera's bugging out a little bit. Yeah, it might be your camera. Are you able to shut your camera off maybe? Yeah, because your camera's bugging out. I thought you were like really still there for a second. I was like, man, he's being still. But like, I think it's because he has Tua, and Tua's gone through a lot, so he's trying to obviously like show him off. And you have Tyreek Hill. But the issue I have is that he abandons the run game when the Dolphins are like with a lead. And, looking back at it, I don't know what they were trying to do, getting every free agent running back under the sun this offseason, because you have a rookie running back that has low mileage. You're not paying him a lot, so you can use him like as much as you want. And he's averaging 7.8 yards per carry in his rookie season. And it's literally an NFL record. No one has had that many yards per carry having over that many attempts. And you're just like not, you just go away from him. Again, I don't care how you want to label it. People are going to label it, well, how many drives did the Dolphins have? Giving Achane 2 carries in the second half is unacceptable. Point blank, period. It's unacceptable. Again, this happened against Baltimore, and I said it last week after the game. He doesn't abandon the run when they're winning or when they're losing, and he's trying to come back. He abandons the run when they are winning. You were up 14-7. You came back from halftime, and first time you got the ball, you threw it 3 times in a row. That's an issue. Okay. Number 2, and this is the bigger overarching issue. Actually, it might not even be a bigger overarching issue, because having a coach that is that willing to stay away from the run game is concerning, considering it was a problem last year and it wasn't fixed. Your offense is, since week 4, not super creative and very predictable. Really, I should say since the Chiefs game. Now, luckily, people are going to be asking yourselves, well, Anthony, then how'd they score 45 against the Commanders? How'd they score 34 or 27 it was against the Jets? How'd they score 30 against the Jets the second time and shut them out? You can get by in the NFL on talent. The Dolphins' talent, there you go.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on.
No, you're good. Essentially, let me recap.
Yeah, I was going to say what I missed.
So let me recap you. Number 1, Devon Achane literally has an NFL record for most yards per carry over like 100 attempts. He has 7.8 yards per carry this season. I don't think people realize if he never gets injured, he's probably going to be the leading rusher on this team. He's going to have over 1,000 yards.
In the NFL.
He literally, again, 7.8 yards per carry in the season. I don't care how you want to label it. I don't care how many drives they had. 2 carries for Devon Achane in the second half is unacceptable. And to me, the fact that 2 years now in a row, we have a coach who has said, I need to run the football more. I need to run the football more. I could understand if he was abandoning it because you're down 42-10. I could understand it if it's the final drive of the game and you need a touchdown, there's not much time. I get that. But when the first drive back after halftime, when you were running it successfully, over 100 yards in the first half, you're winning 14-7. We stopped them on their first drive. Your first drive out, you throw it 3 times in a row? Really? I don't know if that's the way to do it. Like, I'm just going to say that. Like, that's not what you should be doing, Mike McDaniel. And then, going to your point, you're off your rhythm. The next drive, you go, I need to be running the football. Run, pass, punt. Because you're off your rhythm. You're running it just for the hell of it. And that's the distinction, is people think I'm just saying run it, just for F's sake. No, I'm saying run it because it's working. I'm saying run it because your whole entire offense is off of RPO and play action, and you're not running the football. It's not going to work. The reason why it was working in the first half is because the Buffalo Bills actually respected the play action. And I said this, and you're going to remember this before I get into my second point, which I was getting into before you came on. I said this last episode about oh my gosh, what was I about to say? No, don't blank, don't get it out of your head. No.
While you're thinking, I'll just
think, because I just had the, okay, I remember what I was, but go. Okay, so real quick. Defensive coordinators that are good and know what they're doing call McDaniel's bluff every time. And the first time I ever saw this was during the Tennessee game, because I went back and watched it and was like, wait a second, They're not even like, they don't care about the run at all. Every defensive coordinator that knows what they're doing or has the players, because that's the thing. People are going to look at what the Dolphins did against crap teams that don't have the talent or the coaches to stop them because we're very talented. And they're going to go, wait, but are you sure it was an issue? Yes. When you go against coordinators that have the talent or the coaching to know what to do, they do not respect McDaniel's run game because they know that when the Baltimore game happened and when the Buffalo Bills game happened, it doesn't matter that Devon Achane was averaging 7 and 6 yards respectively in those games. Doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if you had the lead, McDaniel. You're going to abandon the run game because you don't want to win through the run game. You want to win showing off Tyreek and showing off Tua. I don't know what there is to show off. A screen pass and a slant. That's really all you're showing off. But you want to win through them, and you're not willing to win the game within the game. And every good defensive coordinator, I'm just letting everyone know, unless something drastic changes, a philosophical change, it's going to happen against the Chiefs. Don't be shocked when it happens. But I said this would happen last week, and I'm disappointed it did. Defensive coordinators just continue to play the pass every play. And it doesn't matter if Achane is averaging 8 yards a carry, which he has this season. It doesn't matter because they know Mike McDaniel's going to abandon it eventually, even if they have a lead. And that's exactly what happened against Baltimore. It's exactly what happened against Buffalo.
Do you know how many yards we had in the second half? Just guess if you don't.
Rushing or total?
Total.
Oh my God. Let's see. Well, if I could do math, if I could make an educated guess, Tua had like 120 passing yards before the first half and finished with 175. So I would guess in total we had no more than like 70 yards of offense.
Yeah, we have 47 total yards of offense in the second.
Okay, I was gonna say because obviously with like sacks and negative play stuff, but yeah.
It's pathetic. That's pathetic. Like,
but people again will sit there and be like the defense again. It's like, okay, well, are we really doing this? Where like you can't criticize McDaniel and Tua and Tyreek.
The worst thing to happen to this team was scoring 70 points against the Broncos because it gave us a false sense of reality of this offense. Because when you look at it against these the real teams, like the offense is nowhere near the standard that it needs to be. Like, it looks like we have this powerhouse offense, but when it needs to show up in these big games, like, it does not look good. And
I'll say this:
at them in every game outside of the
the
Baltimore and the Buffalo game.
Baltimore was 80% on the defense. You're not going to win a game scoring 50. You're not going to win a lot of games allowing 56 points. So again, I'm not afraid to put it on defense. But like, this offense is an overpowering offense. They're mismanaging it. It's as simple as that. But the second point I want to get into, and this is something I said about the Bills, or about the Bills game after the Ravens game. And I'm going to repeat it because unfortunately it happened and I was right about it. And I'm not happy about that. It's not like I'm like, yeah, I was right. It's like, no, it sucks. The Dolphins offense is incredibly predictable. And I said this after the Ravens game, and you'll remember me saying it. The Dolphins offense, if you can stop these 3 plays, and I'll list them out for you, you can stop 75 to 80% of the Dolphins offense. The first one is whatever that toss play is. Now, I don't know what it is. It came out like 4 weeks ago where they started using it where it's like a fake handoff one way. It's clearly, you can tell what's going on because the guy's not even running the way the handoff is. Toss the other way. Now, luckily, we have Devon Achane, who's very good, and the plays actually work. Most of the time, they're filled up completely. Like that touchdown he got, you didn't see it probably because you were at the game. Next Gen stats showed that it was a 0.7% chance he could score a touchdown on that play.
I don't know who he broke.
Jordan Poyer. Based off of the blocking and how it was filled up, there was a 0.7% chance it was a touchdown, and it was because you have Devon Achane. That's the first play. The second play is window dressing. Both next plays in the pass game are window dressing, but it's a screen pass. A screen pass to Devon Achane or a screen pass to Tyreek Hill. They window dress it in a couple different ways. They show like these 3 different looks, and normally Tyreek will like go in motion and run like a wheel or a slant or a comeback or something, but then he'll stop and catch a screen. or they'll just be lined up in formation. They'll throw a screen to Tyreek or Devon Achane. So that's the second play. The third play is what we've seen all season. We've seen it since week 1. And that is whatever. I don't know the name of the route. Again, I don't claim to know as much as certain people about football.
Like a skinny, not a skinny post, but like a sort of post. And then
I don't know. It's like this. JT O'Sullivan talked about it, and it's like he talks about it as like a slant, but it's not truly a slant. It's not truly a post. He kind of like just like fills in, finds the hole in the coverage. But essentially, it's that what I said last week: 10 yards deep, in between the number and the hash to Tyreek. If you can just play those 3 plays, you are stopping 75 to 80% of the Dolphins offense.
It feels like
and then it's like, okay, well, when they don't do those plays, you have a pass to Tyreek Hill, deep pass that Tua underthrew badly. I mean, if he puts down the outside shoulder 4 yards deep, it's a walk-in touchdown. Or you have passes where you have the Claypool route, which to end the game. And this is why there are times where like Tua can throw a deep ball. There are times like yesterday where I don't know what happened, where he underthrows the deep ball. He can throw a deep ball. To me, where the arm strength concerns happen with Tua, and this is where they are, and I think they're legitimate. And it's not, I don't want to say it's a negative, but there's a pro and a con, okay? The pro to having anticipation is that you can throw it early and you can do what Tua has done all season, which is pick defenses apart by throwing to areas because you know he's going to be there and you have amazing anticipation, okay? That is a pro. The con of it is that if you are wrong on your read, you're screwed because this is the opposite. If you do have elite arm strength, but maybe not as much anticipation, the pro to it is that I can wait to see the route develop and confirm or deny what I think. The negative to that is that you can't do what Tua does, and you're going to have to wait longer. You're going to lead to more sacks, and you don't have the anticipation or the accuracy, so your passes might be a little more all over the place. But that, to me, again, that's the Dolphins' offense. A toss play, a screen pass, and some sort of slant to Tyreek. And I'm getting to the point now where I said this early on the season, and you'll remember me saying it. The Dolphins are becoming what the Chiefs were before they got rid of Tyreek. They're becoming way too Tyreek Hill dependent. And I don't think it's McDaniel telling Tua throw the ball to Tyreek. Look, you don't kiss someone's ass as much as Tyreek's kissed Tua's ass for no reason. I'm just going to say that. Okay. Does Tyreek believe that he's the most accurate passer? Maybe. Does Tyreek love playing with Tua? 100%. But don't think for a second that how much Tyreek has supported Tua doesn't affect Tua's, and especially when it works a lot of the time. But this offense, I mean, there's screenshots I'm watching on Discords, like good Discords, like professional Dolphin YouTubers and podcasters of just plays, consistent plays after plays where Barrios is open, Cedric's open, Smythe is open, but where am I throwing? Tyreek. And then you have a guy in Tyreek, then the biggest games doesn't show up and drops passes. Yeah. So it's just a culmination of so many things to where this Dolphins offense, again, it's one of those things where I talked about the Dolphins last week. And if you remember, I said they are at, it was as much of a season ender as possible for a team making the playoffs that could possibly win the division. And I'll say this about the offense. They are as overhyped as possible for a team that did what they did this year. I'm not taking away what they did, and it's amazing. And they definitely revolutionized offense for like the first 4 weeks. And those little cheat motions, 100%. It's going to be in the game for a long time now. And applause to McDaniel. But it has to last longer than 4 weeks. And because of that, a lot of the stats are skewed. A lot of the points per games are skewed. And a lot of our conception is skewed because we look at what they did against the Commanders. That's the first game. The Panthers and the Broncos. And we look at those 3 games and say, man, look at what they did. 40 plus points in all those games, 70 in one of them. But the reality is that this team has become very predictable. And as long as they face a team that has elite talent, or more importantly, elite coaching, which most of the good teams do, including us, they know this. And they're like, he's not going to stick with the run game. And if he doesn't stick with the run game, all we have to do is worry about 2 passes. That's it. And that's what happened. I said that's what happened after the Ravens game, and unfortunately, nothing changed at all. And I don't really know how to give any credit maybe to McDaniel. I don't know how much of it can change. You know,
that kind of, to me, I feel like there's been a noticeable difference in the confidence of not only McDaniel as a play caller and Tua as a quarterback, but the whole team in general since the O-line has been decimated by injuries. Like, I think part of the problem is Tua is not as confident he's going to get good protection. So he's more just one read. Like, you could see at times he was completely staring down where he's going and had no intention whatsoever of, like you said, looking to Berrios on the backside or Cedric Wilson. And these guys are wide open. Like,
yeah.
And I think personally that it's, like I said, a lack of confidence with the O-line. I think that can also be sort of why the run game gets abandoned. Like, he doesn't have confidence that the O-line can get a push the whole time, but it's not the entire thing. I think it's more of just a modern thinking of the NFL that he's been brought up like, this isn't the old school NFL.
Yeah.
Like, you could do these quick passes. They're basically runs. And like, counts those in his mind as a run. Like, I'm sure internally they say to each other, like, a screen is a run, which I mean, fair, it is, but it's just, it's not good enough. Like,
and I'm not saying you feel this way. I'm saying, I know you're bringing up a thought of maybe this is why McDaniel or Tua does it. So when I say I completely disagree, I know that you don't, because you're probably more along the lines of me. You're just offering a different thought of maybe this is why, to kind of try to make sense of it. But like, again, like, the run game is working. So if you're McDaniel, and I would agree, I think that might have to do with it because of the injuries. But like, I don't, your run game without Connor Williams, yeah, it's not as good, but like, it's still like pretty damn, like, you averaged against Baltimore and Buffalo, you averaged 7 yards a carry. Damn. There's a lot of teams that would like to do that. You don't think the Chiefs would like that? And the pass game, I'd say this about Tua, like, I don't know, but test it. I don't know. Like, there are so many plays where he's getting rid of the ball, and it's like, you didn't have to get rid of it yet. Like, there's no one around you. You let it develop. Like, you're chill. Like, it's okay. And I'm not saying it happens all the time, because I can't knock him for it, but also be happy because he hasn't gotten injured because of it. So there's a balance to it. But at the same time, like, yeah, that's definitely true. I would say the McDaniel thing about the run game, I like, he thinks about, but the passing thing for sure Tua in the back of his head is thinking, I need to stay healthy. I don't want to get injured, because guess what's on the line, which he's going to get now because he stayed healthy, $50 million a year. Right. So, what am I going to do? Stay healthy or take a chance and sit in the pocket and get hit? Probably going to stay healthy and earn $50 million a year. And again, that's the issue I have. And, there's people out there that take it to extreme. TD Finn's talking stuff about Tua only throws to spots. And like, okay, that's what anticipation throwers do in this offense. I'm not going to take it that far, but there are definitely a lot of times Tua stares down his receiver. And it's like, dude, get off of him. Get off Tyreek. There's other guys. And, maybe
bad habits are like, just forming like laziness, like, honestly.
And there's certain plays that work where it's like, again, I don't know the playbook, and I don't know who's supposed to be the first read, but like, look, if the play Tyreek's your first read, okay, you should be getting off him because he's not always that open. But if he is open, I'm not going to complain about it, because obviously he got where he's gotten because of that. But like, can McDaniel put a couple more plays where he's not the first read? I don't know if that's possible. Again, I'm actually saying that. Like, I don't know, but it seems to me very Tyreek centric, and it seems very much like Tua is trying to force feed him. And
that's how it felt. And then it felt the same to me, like, with just the first reads in general. Like, there were some throws to Cedric. I mean, even the last one to Claypool at the end. Like, I think it was a poor route by Claypool, but
Yeah,
I mean,
he should have cut it down more. He was
yeah,
he was running like a corner route instead of
that's
an
just
out route, it looked like.
though. But still, the safety is over there, and like look him off. Like, dude, you got like this is like stuff that like
Right,
this
he's just staring him down.
big boys. Like you
And
gotta
there's Cedric over the and there's Cedric over the middle on a catch that he probably would have made. Cedric's pretty good on contested catches, but he's probably going to make a catch to at least set up like a 3rd and 1, if not a first down. So again, stuff like that where this happens a lot. Pretty much every time we get in these situations, that's what Tua does, is starts staring down, starts panicking. Same thing as Mike McDaniel. Again, you're going to take on the identity of your coach.
I think is something that if you want to continue to talk about the game, I'm fine. But at some point, I think we got to pivot to like sort of the big picture of the future of the Dolphins. Because I think, I mean, I'll say my opinion. I think you're on the same boat. I don't see this team winning 3 games on the road, guys, and going to the Super Bowl. When I say I would be stunned, that is an understatement. I think that'd be like miracle on ice level stuff. If this team, as injured and everything, the current state of it, if it somehow won 3 playoff games, kudos to them. But it's not happening.
No, I mean, oh my God, I'd be so happy. And still a lot of it can be healed if you win on with Kansas City. I'm not going to pick the Dolphins to beat Kansas City. And stop talking about the weather, people. Like, you're not always going to get home field advantage. You're not going to be the first seed every year.
It's going to be really bad weather in Buffalo too, man. The Steelers are not happy. It's supposed to be even worse.
Yeah, but it's like that's my thing. Is like, okay, but you're a Dolphins fan, and it's like you play in Miami, and you're going to have to. At some point, the chances of the Dolphins every time, if they want to get to the Super Bowl, having the first seed are slim. You're going to have to at some point probably play a cold weather game. You have to get used to it, and like. It's just a reality. So like I keep seeing people are like, man, the Dolphins, they're going to, if they play at home, it's going to be much better. It's like, they're going to abandon the run and they're going to run the same 3 plays regardless of where they are. And the cold weather, sure, it may impact, but at the end of the day, if we were playing the Chiefs right now, tomorrow or next week in Miami, I'd still pick the Chiefs to win. I don't know. It has nothing to do with the weather. And we keep using all these excuses, the weather. Injuries are a legitimate excuse. The weather, the luck.
Excuses are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and they all stink.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. And but again, it's like the injuries is the only excuse that like is a legitimate excuse. Like it's like a legitimate reason why this team did not reach a lot of the potential. However, the issues of, it's like saying if you have issues saving money, it doesn't matter how much money I give you because you don't have the concept of I need to save. The Dolphins, like you can give them that. But at the end of the day, what more do you want the Dolphins to get? They have a rusher who's averaging 7.8 yards per carry and a defense who limited Josh Allen to 14 points, still lose, still abandon the run. So, like, I don't know what more you want to give them. The Dolphins were pretty healthy on offense. I know we didn't have Connor Williams, but, like, against the Tennessee Titans, like, we were okay, and we still, same thing, collapse. Like, I'm trying to think what else. I'm trying to think of a game where, we, like, even against the Eagles. It's like the Eagles, you didn't have Xavier Howard and on offense, and you didn't have Connor Williams, but it's like, it's literally the same thing every game. It doesn't matter really about the talent. It doesn't matter as much about the talent, I would say. Like, it's definitely a major excuse. But moving forward now with this team, like, again, I question Tua. He's earned a contract, in my opinion. Is he what? Like, let me ask people this, and I'll ask you this if you want to answer it. Realistically, just as much as you can, put on a non-Dolphins hat, non-Dolphin fan hat, without using the excuse Jalen Hurts got paid what he got paid, which honestly he made a Super Bowl, so let's not even use that. Justin Herbert, without using Justin Herbert and Daniel Jones's contract as an excuse, because those are both bad contracts. Justin Herbert didn't deserve his with what he's accomplished. Daniel Jones shouldn't have even been paid half of what he got paid. without using those as excuses, because those are outlier bad contracts that shouldn't have happened, what can you name me that Tua has done to earn $50+ million? And the answer is nothing. Has he earned a contract? Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to do? He's proven that he can play well. He's proven that he can at least get us wins. And he stayed healthy for a season, which is what we wanted. So I'm not going to sit here and all of a sudden act like Tua doesn't deserve a contract. Let's cut him. But like, again, let's also understand that he's going to get $50+ million probably. He's going to definitely get a contract extension. So if you don't want him to, you're in for a Rudolph season. But at the end of the day, like, how in the name of the good Lord above can you watch what's happened against the elite teams the past 4 years and say that's a $50+ million a year quarterback? I don't know. I root for Tua and I'm happy he's our quarterback. But again, we have to understand that like there's a difference. Every time your quarterback's up for a contract, it can't be $50+ million. And I mean, man, it's going to happen. So I'm just kind of like bracing for it. But it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. So two things. And first is like, I think people who like talk about the contracts and should you give it, don't put into perspective how the NFL works. Chris Greer doesn't have unlimited tries at this thing. Like Chris Greer has to get it right. And if he wants to keep his job, that is his first priority. It's not winning the Dolphins a Super Bowl. It's not building a contender. It's keeping his job by any means necessary. I mean, he's not going to like go, be cutthroat and stuff like that. But if that means like he gives to a contract and that buys him another 3 years, that's what's going to happen. And that's the same thing, like why the Giants made their decision, why the Chargers made their decision. These guys are thinking about themselves. And this is a business where you have to be right. And if you could buy yourself job security for a year or two more, you're going to make that decision 100 times out of 100. And I do not blame them for it. But
Right.
At the same time, I totally agree with you. I came away from that game of the opinion that Tua, the guy argument, he's not the guy. He's not a guy that can elevate an injured roster. And every year at December, we're going to have an injured roster. He's not going to be Superman who with a cape like Mahomes or Josh Allen to a degree. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, those guys. Like he's not going to be the guy who can overcome everything. It's going to have to line up. And boy, like not to be dramatic or morbid, but does it really feel to you like in the next 7 years, which, the contract isn't going to be that long, but then let's say we give him a 3-4 year contract, then you would rebuild that the Dolphins would win a Super Bowl. Like if they make this decision with Tua, they would have to get so extremely fortunate on the injuries, not only to themselves, but to other teams for the Dolphins to be in a spot where they can be like comfortable Super Bowl favorites. And that's a scary thought because that's another rebuild or another 7 years, another waiting. Like the bar where from just one last thing, sorry, but it feels like we just came from like the Tannehill where we were just not good enough to make the playoffs to now we're good enough to make the playoffs and be a one and done. Like when the Bengals had Andy Dalton, that was their story every year. And it feels like that's what we are to me right now. With not just Tua, but the way the roster is constructed, because it's just too top heavy. And there's a lot of guys that need to be paid too. And I think that's not being talked enough. Like it's not just Wilkins. Like there's
right. Yeah. There's
crazy.
Yeah. I think I'm going to stand by, like, I think Tua can win us a Super Bowl. I do. Now, will a lot more have to go right than it did this year? Yeah. You're probably going to have to get as close to the first seed as you can. Okay. Yes, you're going to have to be way more lucky on the injuries. And here's the thing though, that I say, like, here's where I want to draw the line. I want to clarify myself. And if you're going to clip something for Twitter to troll me about I guess you make sure to clip this. I will never expect Tua to carry a bad roster. I will never expect any quarterback to. And I want to state that because I think that so often in the NFL, we expect just because you're an elite quarterback, that means put shit around them and you're good. No, you have to, and we're seeing it with Mahomes, you have to still surround your quarterback no matter how good they are with talent. I am not trying to sit here and say that Tua will never be able to win us a Super Bowl if he doesn't have good around him. It's like no one probably will. What I'm trying to say about Tua is you have to at least show an ability to every now and then, when need be, because it's not always going to be perfect. The defense has bailed your ass out before. And obviously, like he's done it against the Charger. He did it before. But the what I'm trying to say is I'm not expecting him to live in that realm where it's everything around me is crap, like the Brian Flores era. Everything around me is crap, and I'm just expected to be Superman every game. That's like Josh Allen. It's not healthy. It's not good for anyone. But at the same time, you need to at least be able to, and you need to, in situations like yesterday, go down and get a touchdown. I look, I know there's injuries. I know Jalen Waddle's not out there, right? But you have to be able to will something. And to even though as down as I am about McDaniel, we can't every year just say offensive coordinator, because we do it with Justin Herbert and it annoys me. At some point, you need to make something happen beyond the realm of the play, and he's not able to do that. And so, do I think Tua can win us the Super Bowl? Yes. Do I think more has to go right than with someone like Lamar or Patrick Mahomes? Yes. Do I think that paying him 50 plus million, which they will hinder our opportunities to do that after next year, because next year it actually saves us money? Yes, I will say all of that. Will I still root for Tua? Yes. Do I hate Tua? No. I'm just being honest. I'm fine keeping him because I think you can win a Super Bowl with him. But I would say this. I said this with Justin Herbert. I'm not like trying to say because it's a Tua hate slander. Like I said about Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's done nothing other than the fact that he can throw really far, prove to you that he should be paid 50 plus million. And that's what we do now in the NFL. You're really talented. You don't have to prove anything anymore. We'll just give you a big contract. To me, 50 plus million, which is you don't even have to use 50 plus million because it's never been that much for a quarterback. Top tier quarterback money means that you have proven, I don't care what your talent is, because that's not even it with Tua. Like, I'm not even trying to say the talent of Tua, because Jalen Hurts is not that talented compared to like a Mahomes. At least he got them to a Super Bowl, and I could say, okay, kind of makes sense. Now they regret that for sure. But like Tua has shown nothing to prove that he should be making 50 plus million. So he should be getting a contract extension, and I want him to, because there is no other option. And I think we can win a Super Bowl with him. And I want everyone to understand that. I'm not saying cut Tua, but I've seen nothing. And now we can officially use a full year sample size for him, where we don't have to project numbers. We got a full year of him healthy. We saw him in every type of moment, against the bad teams, against the good teams. We saw him at home, away, against the great teams, the great defenses. I'm not saying he has to be Superman, but we have seen no indication that he can, at times, if need be, will this team to victory and put the team on his back. And that, to me, is what a $50 million quarterback is. And a $50 million quarterback is someone who's had at least one or two playoff wins. And this NFL trend of 50 million just means you're really talented has got to stop.
So three things. I think like the consistency with Tua has been concerning, and it just, when you're going up in class, it's not there. And then I just want to ask you, but you kind of already answered it. Like, to me, the $50 million tag is, can you elevate a roster? Like, I'm not talking about like a terrible one to make it like Mahomes right now. The offense is horrible, and he makes it average. Like, can you take an average offense to an above average offense, and then an above average offense to an elite offense? Like, can he do that? And then the second thing is, like, this is like, you have to show up in crunch time when you need a score with 2 minutes left. If you're an elite quarterback, you have to get the score. I'm not saying you have to get it 10 times in a row. You have to bat 90%. No, but you got to be able to do it, I'd say, more often than not. Like, when we're down and there's 2 minutes left, we get the ball back. I'd say, like, for me, probably like 3 out of 4 games, maybe 3 out of 5 games, I'd be expecting us to at least answer, put up points on that drive, and then, go to overtime or win the game. Like, that's what I'm expecting. That's what I think an elite quarterback is. And he hasn't proven that he can do that yet. And like you said, I do think we have enough data now. Like he's had enough chances. He's done it a few times where he's come back. So, I do. It's so hard to say because like in this league, like when you make a decision, it's for a year or for multiple years. And that's like brutal to do with not enough information, but like, yeah, we need to see more. Like we need to see more from him, how he is in these situations. And like you said, contract year's coming up. Like, do you want to see 4 more years of him or what? But yeah, I mean, I think for better or worse, he's going to be here. Like, unless some trade falls into their lap, but that's not going to happen. That'd be
no. He'll be.
ESPN.
It's like McDaniel getting fired. There's a 99% chance that this offseason McDaniel will still be your coach, which I want, and Tua will still be your quarterback, which I want. And there is a 99% chance he's going to get a contract extension to make him the highest paid Dolphins player of all time. So I'm just letting people know. And that's not what I'm trying to argue. I'm not trying to argue that if he should be extended or not. I'm saying what I've seen, he does not deserve the contract he's about to get. I'm letting everyone know that right now. He deserves a contract extension, but that's just where you are.
So going into next year, then and it's so funny because as we've said so many times, this is a week-to-week league, and we could go into KC and go win next week and like dominate, and then we'll all be like, I don't think I'll be my tune changed. Like I'll try to remember this because I hate when people do that. Like, and then it's just everything's fixed.
Yeah, I'll be happy. But no, the issues. Yeah.
But the issues are there, and that's what like. Do you think both their seat, like, would you say they're on the quote unquote hot seat, like going into next year? Do you think they are, and do you think they should be?
No, I don't think. Well, it depends. Like next year, I don't know what next year's going to hold. I would say that obviously, like things could change from where it stands right now. Again, I'm not arguing. I'm not saying that they should be on the hot seat, and I don't think they will be. I'm just saying I have concerns with both people. And.
So I don't. Me personally, I think they are going to be, but I don't think they should. Like I think that.
Oh, you think they will be, but you also don't think they should be.
I don't think that Tua, maybe Tua more than McDaniel, but McDaniel I don't think should be. I think McDaniel, you got something there. We need growth for sure, but the person I've been saying it before. Like I'm more Chris Greer. I think I don't know. I'd like to see us go in a different direction.
Oh, wow, Baker. Joel said Baker and Van Ginkel are confirmed. Wait, Baker? Why is Baker?
Well, that's not Van Ginkel isn't the biggest surprise, but Baker, that's early too.
Yeah,
that must be something. That's another live reaction on air.
Yeah, that's just he's having season-ending wrist surgery. Of course, he's. Actually, I shouldn't say that. That sounds rude. I loved how Baker played yesterday, and honestly, I gained a lot of respect for Jerome Baker this year. So when I say of course he is, I don't mean that like he's soft. I'm just saying like of course he has to have. I'm not meaning to say like yeah, of course he's soft. I'm trying to say like yeah, of course another player got injured. Why not?
But yeah, well, let's pivot back to just a couple. Well, and we'll wrap up soon here. But yeah, like some offseason stuff. I don't even want to talk about the Chiefs game.
Cam Good is also done the year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's dropping like flies. But yeah, I mean, what would you like to see in the like? What would be your priorities for the offseason? And then if you want to go back to the McDaniel into a question that I asked, feel free.
I don't even really need to go back. Again, I'm able to differentiate the two, and you are too, and fans need to be able to I'm not going to go to an extreme and say get rid of them at all. They deserve to be here, and Tua deserves an extension. I'm just letting people know, like I think it'd be crazy if you didn't have concerns about both of them, like serious concern about both of them. So you take that as you want it. But as far as the offseason, man, I don't know. It depends on who we're. First thing is you have to.
Yes, I agree. That was the Xavier Howard sounds like doubtful, and then most of
I don't think Xavier. Yeah, I think.
But that's interesting. They even said that he has a chance. I thought he'd be Dunzo for the year.
No, I think everyone that's able to play, even if because they know what's about to happen. They know if these guys don't play, their season's over. So anyone who's able to play, it will be playing. Like I'd be stunned to my core if Waddle and Mostert weren't playing. And if they aren't,
Even more.
yeah. But no, as far as the offseason, I mean, number one, you got to figure out what's going on with your contract situation of who you're able to keep and not. Again, luckily we have a first round pick, but I mean, there's just when I say a lot to do, it doesn't necessarily mean like
there is a lot.
There's a lot to do from a standpoint of like re-signing your people. And then really, I think the main thing is I don't think this team needs much different talent as far as the top end. I think you just got to fill this roster out significantly through the draft. And this can't be a draft where you go and, obviously, yeah, you take chances always in the draft, but this has to be a draft where you get like good blue chip, solid players that can come in and fill in. And but that to me is really where this team needs to improve. And I would love to see not only this week, but next year, more of an identity. I'm not saying you need to be the 49ers, but I need to see more of that. It was cool having all this flash, and you definitely need to use Tyreek and Jalen because you have them. But I need to this offense next week and moving forward has to be it has to be more so where even if it is predictable, it doesn't matter because we're just going to destroy you. And right now it's not there because obviously with injuries, but also just the identity of this team.
Yeah, and I'll just say, yeah, for me, for the offseason, like I think in the draft, if you don't trade your pick, then the first round acquire capital, which, like you said, I think they should because I think the biggest problem is depth. I think you should honestly draft a receiver in the first round. There's so many talented guys, and this team could really use a third receiver, especially. You see what this turns into when one or the other of these guys goes out against a good offense. Or tight end, just another dimension of this offense. Basically, I think is what
I'd be more happy with tight end. Wide receiver, I think, yeah, but I think they could find someone in the later rounds, third, fourth round.
Yeah, that would be nice. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to do this offseason. Like Chris Greer is going to be busy. There's so many guys who have contracts. They're going to restructure all these guys. Like Tyreek Hill will get a big restructure. Tehran will get a big restructure to free up some cap space. And as we've said, Stephen Ross is never afraid to spend money. So I wonder how close in his mind he thinks they are. And I mean, this is just blunt, but he knows he wants to see a Super Bowl here, and he's aware of how old he is. So I don't think he's going to be afraid to do whatever he can do if he thinks this is a team that is close enough. But I really don't know. I
don't really like. I don't know. It's not really even a big deal. But I don't really go with that notion of like. I don't necessarily agree with the sentiment of like he desperately wants it. Like he's making so much money this year. Like the Dolphins are relevant. They're cool. They're fun. They're gonna have a playoff game. I think he probably really wanted a home playoff game. I would definitely argue that. But like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think Stephen Ross is just willing to spend it because, I mean, yeah. First of all, he has a lot of money. He's like one of the top 8 richest owners in the NFL. And especially now with how. I think he just likes like splash moves. I don't necessarily think that he's like gotta have. I don't think he's like Jerry Jones as much. And even Jerry Jones, I would argue, is kind of like just good with being like really.
But yeah, there's definitely some teams, like some owners, where you're happy with consistently like above average because it pays the bills. It gets people in the seats. And like you're going to make a lot of money, but
yeah. And that's why I've said so many times that like fans and stuff, like when we get so invested in it, it's like you like
this do you
understand how much money these owners make and like they're fine with it because they're just like we're making millions of dollars, like hundreds of millions of dollars every season. So like and we're all going to still watch. We're all going to still go to the season. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, man, this sucks, honestly. Just here we are. I don't even think we said yet that the regular season's over, and what a just an absolute roller coaster, like it is every year. It feels like one thing that I will always say about the Dolphins, it's never dull, it's never boring. Like it's never fun, but it's not boring. It is not boring.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. And here we are. So now we're in the playoffs, and next episode we will talk about the Dolphins versus Chiefs matchup.
It's the Indian burial ground. I always see that, and my God, I'm never a superstitious person or believe in any of that stuff, but I'm slowly starting to believe in this one, and I may finally concede and say we do have to move the stadium. But yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm ready to get out of here. I don't want to talk about this loss anymore.
I totally feel you. I'm trying to move on. I think for the preview show we have for KC, I think I'll be mentally over it and ready to go. I you said it, but I'm more optimistic, I think, than you. I think this is a pretty good matchup for the Dolphins.
Well, real quick, I stand by what I said, and we kind of talked about this, and you guys brought up a great point. Like, if I think Joel did, like, if the Dolphins blow out the Bills, would you be happy with us playing them again next week? And I was like, yeah. But I actually reached out to one of my friends and I brought this up, and I was like, don't talk about it. Don't tweet about it though, because like you're going to get roasted. And that's why I'm not tweeting about it. But I said, like, low key, I don't want the Dolphins to lose. Obviously I want them to win. But like, if we're going to sit here and act like playing the Chiefs is not a better matchup than playing the Bills twice in a row, I don't care where you play. You can play it on Mars if you want to. It is a much better matchup. So again, you're gonna hear me on Thursday. I'm gonna come in on this podcast and I'm going to be, let's go win this game. I think we can win this game. Mindset now, or I shouldn't say I think we win this. I'm probably going to pick the Chiefs to win, because in my mind, based off of what I've seen, how can I not? But I'm going to be talking about this is how you have to beat them. Let's go out there. I desperately want us to win a playoff game, because honestly, that to me is way more important than winning home field advantage for like one or two. Like, you're going to have to play in Baltimore anyway. So, or the Browns maybe. So like, at the end of the day, like, I just want to win a playoff game. Some people would have rather had a home playoff game. I just want to win a damn playoff game, because it hasn't happened in my lifetime since I've been watching. So I'm going to be on here next week, giving fans that listen every single thing I believe can help this team win. And when Sunday comes, even though I'll probably be cautiously worried, or no, I will be not cautiously optimistic, like the opposite. I'll be not pessimistic, because I'm not going to be negative. I don't know, but you know what I mean. I am going to be probably thinking that the Chiefs are going to win, like this past week against the Bills. I still will be hoping, because I'm a Dolphins fan, that they win on Sunday or Saturday night. Good, great. Yeah. And we play Saturday night. Good.
Yeah. I don't know if you're even excited is the right word, but I'm excited for the game. Excited. Yeah, I feel like once the relief that will come over me and the just joy of finally winning a playoff game. Like, I think just from other sports teams, when they finally get over the hill that, never been this long. It was close with the Florida Panthers, but my God, man, they just got to do it. Like, so it can never be discussed again. And we can move forward. And then next year we can have bigger goals. But the year, this funny again. Here we are. Didn't think we'd get here in this way, but the goal, win one playoff game, and then the rest is icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. And I've kind of been saying this and I sip the Kool-Aid too at times, but like, hey man, like, let's stop worrying about playoffs. Let's just like win a damn playoff game. Everyone's like expectations because of this roster, like win a Super Bowl. It's like
out the road to the Super Bowl. It was like the
right. I'm like, guys, I'm like, dude, it's the playoffs, dude. I'm taking it one game at a time. It's like, let's just go in and that'd be such a cool win too. I mean, trust me. I will be rooting for the Dolphins as hard as I've ever rooted for the Dolphins this Sunday. Just because I might pick the Chiefs or because I'm down on the Dolphins does not change my fandom. And man, I would love that, because honestly, it would change a lot. I'm not going to be out, like, the season's not over, right? Even when we were talking about also, like, the season's not over. And they can still change the narrative if they want to. There's tons of opportunities. It's just they've shit the bed every single time. So if I'm predicting the future, what do I think is going to happen? But there's still an opportunity to change the narrative, and there's probably no greater narrative. Like, you've set it up to where, like, man, it's like you really went down here, but beating the Chiefs in Kansas City, the Super Bowl champions.
Tyreek's old team. They beat us once before.
Yeah, give me that any day over possibly losing twice losing your second game to the Bills, but oh, congrats, you got a home playoff game. I don't care where the playoff game is played. I don't at all. Yeah, it's easier at home, of course, no shit. But at the end of the day, don't care where the playoff game is played at all. I want us to win a playoff game. You could play the game in my house. It's not big enough, but if you want to, you could. I don't care where it's played. I just want to win a playoff game. Period.
100%. And yeah, I mean, on that note, I think we should wrap this up here.
Get the hell out of here.
yeah. I mean, it was good. I feel a lot better. I'm glad that you know, it's hard when you're just like looking at Twitter and then talking to your immediate friend group to kind of gauge how everyone's feeling. But yeah, I mean, man, like everyone I think is still recovering, but you know, like you said, let's go change the narrative. They haven't done it yet, but who knows? We will see. And that's why I play the game. But yeah, for everyone, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Every new subscribers, I'll be Dolphin for KC. And you know, hit the like button. If you liked our misery or want us happier, click the like button. Win-win for everyone. So from us here at Dolphins versus the World, see you next time. Fins up.
See ya.